In Colombia, the government ordered on Wednesday the expulsion of diplomats from the embassy of Argentina in Bogota. Health organizations in the Gaza Strip denounced that 30 newborn children have died of acute malnutrition as a result of the blockade imposed by Israel on humanitarian aid. In Madagascar, Cyclone Gamane leaves at least 11 dead and more than 7,000 people affected after passing through the north of the country. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Colombia, the government ordered on Wednesday the expulsion of diplomats from the embassy of Argentina in Bogota after the recent declarations of the Argentine President Javier Milei. The Colombian leadership expressed its condemnation of the new offensive statements made by Milei against the Colombian President Gustavo Petro, stating that they violate the relations between both nations. In this sense, informed through a statement that the expulsion of officials will be communicated to the embassy of the country through the institutional channels, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. On Thursday, the government of Venezuela rejected a statement by the United States on the Venezuelan electoral system, indicating that it intends to disregard and dislegitimize the upcoming presidential elections. In this way, Ivan Gil, foreign minister of Venezuela, in his social network X account, categorically rejected the March 27, 2024 communique of the U.S. government, which attempts to discognize and legitimize the upcoming presidential elections. In the meantime, the statement reiterates that Venezuela has fully complied not only with the legal and constitutional norms to carry out the upcoming presidential elections of July 28, 2024, but has also complied with every point of the agreement signed between the legitimate government of Venezuela and the self-styled Plataforma Unitaria of a small sector of the Venezuelan right wing. In this context, the National Electoral Council rejects the actions of the United States, where it expresses the electoral power of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, rejects categorically the insolent and false questioning of the Department of State of the United States of America on the National Electoral Council with the purpose of discrediting one of the most solid institutions of the robust Venezuelan democracy. Likewise, it states Venezuelan democracy is based on a series of very advanced pillars, among which stands out its electoral system, which has demonstrated throughout the last years the highest standards of professionalism and security, contrasting with the electoral system of the United States of America, which is obsolete and inefficient. To conclude, the people of Venezuela will elect their president in a free and sovereign manner through an impeccable and reliable system. Any attempt to interfere in this process will be met with determination, guaranteeing the reflection of the will of the Venezuelan people, who in a sovereign manner will continue to advance in the consolidation of the Bolivarian homeland enshrined in our Constitution. In Ecuador, authorities reported that they regained control of the regional prison of Guayaquil after a riot broke out for several hours. In his message published in social networks, the Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa confirmed this Thursday that the situation was controlled after the riot in the Social Rehabilitation Center 4. However, he did not offer details of the causes of the events. During the night of Wednesday, there were disturbances and detonations were heard from inside the prison, as well as fires caused by the inmates with burning of mattresses. The inmates were apparently protesting against the mistreatment by the military during the presence of the armed forces inside the prison. In Ecuador, police and military repressed and a peaceful sit-in denouncing state violence against indigenous communities opposing mega mining. Farmer and indigenous organizations were repressed with tear gas outside the Ministry of Environment, located in Quito, the capital of the country. The anti-mining front denounced that they were attacked when they were peacefully protesting against the mining occupation in the territories of Sixos, Las Pampas and Palo Quemado. The demonstrators opposed the environmental consultation promoted by the government of Daniel Noboa by means of a manual that is considered unconstitutional and seeks to favor the large multinationals. In Haiti on Thursday, the General Directorate of the National Police ordered to intensify actions against criminal groups that today control 80% of the capital of the Caribbean country, Port-au-Prince. In this way, the Commander-in-Chief of the Police, France Elbé, gave instructions to the heads of the specialized units of the armed forces to redouble efforts to eliminate these criminal organizations. In a note published on its Facebook page, the police reported that 17 alleged criminals were recently killed, among them gang leaders Ernst Julme and Macandal, while 17 firearms were seized during operations and interventions carried out between February 29 and March 26, 2024. In the United States, a federal appeals court extended the blockade on an anti-immigrant law imposed in the state of Texas that would allow authorities to arrest and deport undocumented migrants. According to reports, 3 judges of the court voted on the future of this measure, with 2 of them supporting the idea of continuing to stop the law from coming into effect. According to the court's chief judge, Priscilla Richman, the implementation of the SB4 law could represent a violation of the U.S. Constitution. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said he will persist in implementing measures to secure the southern border, adding that Texas has the legal authority to arrest people crossing the barbed wire on the borders. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. The Parliament of Greece is holding on Thursday the last debate with roll call vote on the motion of censure against the national government for the TEMP case. The case, filed by the Pan-Hellenic Socialist Movement and supported by the opposition, accuses the executive for manipulation of evidence about the train accident that resulted in the death of around 57 people in 2023. The complaint file points out that conservative government had the objective of making people believe that the cause of the accident was a human failure and not the lack of safety measures. After accident, social and trade organizations carried out mass protests against strikes against the Greek Prime Minister to demand political responsibilities. The Russian Commission of Investigation identified the bodies of 84 people, including 5 minors, after the deadly bombing at a concert hall on the outskirts of Moscow last Friday. The Commission received 143 complaints from relatives and friends of the victims who disappeared as a result of the tragedy. The agency continues to conduct molecular genetic analysis to identify the remaining victims of the terrorist attack that claimed the lives of 140 people and left over 100 wounded. So far, 11 people have been arrested in connection with the terrorist attack. In Russia, presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov suggested to Telegram co-founder and chief executive Pavel Durov greater caution to prevent this social network from ending up as a tool in the hands of terrorists. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, in an interview, asked Telegram co-founder and executive Pavel Durov to pay more attention to the negative use of the social network. Peskov pointed out that Telegram is unique and a unique information resource from the technological point of view, and therefore it may be in danger of becoming a tool for the use of terrorists. This alert comes a week after the attack on the Crocus City Hall shopping mall, which left more than 130 people dead and a total of 180 wounded. In Palestine, a baby died on Thursday due to hunger and lack of treatment, bringing the number of malnourished newborns in the Gaza Strip to 30. Medical officials said the newborn died as a result of dehydration and lack of medical supplies at the Kamal Adwan Hospital in the northern Gaza Strip. Doctors at the hospital indicated that they see many premature babies every day whose weight does not match their age, in clear evidence of starvation. They warned that as a result, the babies reach critical grades of severe acidemia, disorders, and ultimately death. In Ireland, Defence and Foreign Affairs Minister Michael Martin announced that Dublin will intervene in the genocide case brought by South Africa against Israel before the International Court of Justice. Martin states that he will inform the Council of Ministers about a declaration of intervention. The Foreign Affairs Minister also assures an official intercession in the judicial process if the proposal gets approved. Likewise, emphasized that the situation in Gaza represents a human catastrophe and is causing the death of thousands of innocent people. Last December, South Africa denounced Israel before the International Court of Justice for genocidal conduct against the Palestinian people within the frame of the offensive launched on October 7th. In southern Lebanon, 9 people are reported killed after the constant bombardment by the Israeli occupation forces that also caused material damage. According to the media, Israeli attacks on a cafe in the village of Nakura and on a vehicle belonging to the Islamic Medical Association in Tahrir, Haifa, resulted in the death of Lebanese in addition to causing material damage to homes. The pan-Arab channel Al Mayadeen indicated that bombing in Nakura occurred near a center of the United Nations interim force, and the injured were transferred to the Lebanese Italian hospital in the city of Tahrir, where numerous citizens rushed to donate blood. Meanwhile, the car hit in Tahrir, Haifa, killed 2 paramedics, bringing to 16 the number of health workers killed by Tel Aviv forces in the bombardment of Lebanon. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage reflecting America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Madagascar, Cyclone Gamane leaves at least 11 dead and more than 7,000 people affected after passing through the north of the country. The National Office of Risk and Disaster Management reported that the storm brought downpours that swept away houses and trees. In addition to that dead, authorities stated that 2 people are missing and structural damages has not been determined. The Director General of the National Office of Risk and Disaster Management, Elak Olivier Andriaca, declared that part of the population affected by the storm was moved to safer shelters, while others were taken in by family members. In Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye was declared winner of the first round of the presidential elections held on Sunday. In this sense, the Court of Appeal of Senegal published on Wednesday the official results of the elections, confirming that Faye obtained 54.28% of the votes, so that a second round will not be contested because he exceeded the total of 50% of the votes. The second place was for the leader of the ruling party, Amadou Ba, with 35.79%. Faye, 44 years old, is a member of the Senegalese Patriots Party, which stands for Pan-Africanism and rejection of the French colonialism. In the last hours, China, the United States, France, and the Organization of Africa Unity recognized his victory.
Each voter was able to express himself through his vote. For this reason, we want to thank you for this work and this sense of personal sacrifice, which shows us that you are guaranteed sincere results and a sincere and transparent elections.
In this context, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China congratulated Bassirou Diomaye Faye and stressed the willingness to deepen bilateral cooperation with the new government of Senegal.
We are pleased that Senegal's presidential election was held in a peaceful and orderly manner. We congratulate Bassirou Diomaye Faye on his victory. China and Senegal are good friends and brothers. China attaches great importance to the development of China-Senegal relations and is willing to work together with the new Senegalese government to deepen mutual political trust, expand practical cooperation, and promote the continued development of bilateral relations.
The commemoration of the Holy Week in the world gathers for several days millions of believers around the religious ceremonies in order to remember the passion and death of Jesus of Nazareth. In Venezuela, citizens toured the 7 main temples of several cities in demonstration of their devotion and to raise their prayers for the welfare of the country. In Spain, believers followed the itinerary of the stations of penitence of Jesus with hundreds of Nazarenes and brothers who accompanied the image in the streets. On the other hand, Pope Francis celebrates from the Basilica of St. Peter in the Vatican City the Eucharist Mass of Holy Thursday before hundreds of Christians who met to exalt the family union as a contribution to the evolution of world cultures. In this context, Pope Francis urged his priests to avoid clerical hypocrisy and thread their flocks with the mercy as he delivered a lengthy set of marching orders to Rome-based priests at the start of a busy few days leading to Easter. Francis read aloud a lengthy homily instructing priests to be merciful and not judgmental after skipping his homily during Palm Sunday Mass last weekend. In his homily, he urged priests to always show mercy to the faithful and not judge them, and weep instead of for their own sins. The Mass was the first major papal liturgy in St. Peter's since the great canopy over the altar, known as baldacchino, was covered in scaffolding for months of long renovation and cleaning.
It means looking within and repenting of our ingratitude and inconstancy, and acknowledging with sorrow our duplicity, dishonesty, and hypocrisy. Clerical hypocrisy, dear brothers, that hypocrisy that we slide into often. Beware of clerical hypocrisy.
Entering now in sporting matters, and in particular referring to the Olympic Games of Paris 2024, on Thursday the authorities of the International Olympic Committee announced that the Olympic flame will be near the Louvre Museum. In this way, the flame of the Paris Olympic Games will burn during the competition in the Garden of the Tuileries, a publicly accessible site located on the banks of the Seine River between the Louvre Museum and the Place de la Concordia. The decision was taken after the organizers abandoned the idea of the Eiffel Tower. It should be noted that the relay of the flame that will be lit on April 16 in Olympia, Greece, will begin in Marseille on on May 8th. We continue to talk about the next Olympics, Paris 2024. Russian archers refused to participate in this event. Precisely, Vladimir Yeshchev, the head of the Archery of Russian Federation, declared that their athletes will not participate in the qualification for the Olympic Games because they are not willing to perform without the flag and the anthem of the national team. Let's remind that Russian and Belarusian athletes will be able to compete only as neutrals, provided that they are not associated with security agencies and do not represent team sports. In the United States, the Major League Baseball campaign officially begins on Thursday. During the next 6 months, 30 teams will fight each other for the title. It is worth mentioning that on this opening day, 11 out of the 30 organizations named Latin pitchers as starters, this being the highest number registered so far, while the Dominican Republic has 5 of them. Precisely, the Latin pitchers with the most starts on opening day are Dominican Pedro Martinez and Nicaragua Denis Martinez, who share the total number of 11 starts. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok.